On one level, I'm very sad that we have to gather here tonight under such tragic circumstances. It's not only that we lost on this date one of our greatest teachers of nonviolence, one of our greatest defenders of justice, Dr. King. It's also that we are recognizing the loss of yet another young man to gun violence, Trayvon Martin. A young man who had his entire life ahead of him and was gunned down in an act that can only be described as senseless and horrific. In my mind, this act was not only the product of racism, I think we can all acknowledge that that is an element here, but it was also caused by a gun lobby, a gun industry that will do anything in pursuit of profit, no matter how many Americans are sacrificed in the process. What do you call a law that allows people to shoot and kill other human beings when they could otherwise walk away safely? I can only call that type of law immoral. And let's be very clear, that's exactly what the National Rifle Association's Stand Your Ground law does. It tells someone that could otherwise remove themselves from a conflict, you know what? If you're having a bad day, if you just don't like the other guy, if you're itching to try out that new handgun you bought, have a go at it. Shoot him, kill him, and we've got your back. To me, this is not only a political crisis, it's a spiritual crisis. Wasn't it Jesus who told an armed follower who came to his defense, "Put up your sword, for he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword"? Trayvon Martin was doing nothing more than buying snacks at a convenience store that night. And it's important that we understand that while he's a recent victim of this law, he is far from the first, even in the state of Florida. When you reflect on Trayvon, reflect also on the 8-year-old daughter of Air Force veteran David James. She watched a concealed handgun permit holder shoot and kill her father during an argument about whether kids should skateboard on a basketball court. Her father was unarmed, and a manslaughter charge has been filed, but the case could soon be dismissed under the Stand Your Ground law. The next time you reflect on Trayvon, think of Jason Rosenblum. He was shot 2 times by a neighbor during a dispute over garbage bags left on a curb. His neighbor shot him and let him crawl bleeding back home to his wife and baby son. Rosenblum was unarmed in a t-shirt and shorts, and in that case, charges weren't even filed. The next time you reflect on Trayvon, think of Alan Romero, a homeless man who was shot at least 4 times at a Haagen-Dazs by a concealed handgun permit holder who thought he was panhandling too aggressively. No charges were filed. This insane law, the Stand Your Ground law, has been pushed by the National Rifle Association and the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, with the sole goal of selling more carry guns. It lets hot rods play vigilante on our streets and is designed to make the rest of us so scared that we think we need to be armed too. Brilliant and sick. And who wins in that scenario? The people that arm homicidal maniacs. It was the NRA, too, that wrote the law in Florida that allowed George Zimmerman to get a concealed handgun permit in the first place. Did he have a violent history? Yes. He had assaulted a police officer. He had been the subject of a restraining order for battering his ex-fiancée. He still has that concealed handgun permit. He can still carry his loaded gun in 36 states across the country today, Florida and every other state that recognizes their permit. And if the NRA has its way, that will soon be 49 states. They are pushing a bill in Congress right now that would allow him to carry his gun in 49 states. And don't think that D.C. would long remain immune from that legislation if it was signed into law. Every person sitting in this house of worship right now, house of worship here right now, knows that the NRA has pushed for years and continues to push to strip our elected officials of their right to regulate firearms in our city. After the assassination of President Kennedy, Dr. King commented that, and I quote, "By our readiness to allow arms to be purchased at will and fired at whim, by allowing our movie and television screens to teach our children that the hero is the one who masters the art of shooting and the technique of killing, we have created an atmosphere in which violence and hatred have become popular pastimes. That was nearly 50 years ago. What would Dr. King think today, after decades of the NRA lobbying to weaken our gun laws to the point where even homicidal maniacs can legally buy guns and carry them in public on our streets? It's now easier to buy a gun in many states than to vote. It is easier to buy a gun in many states than to vote. What does that say about our country and how far we have fallen? It's long past time to take back our democracy from the National Rifle Association and their allies in ALEC, funded by the Koch brothers. We must send a clear message to them that, again, enough is enough. For those who care, you can start by informing your family, friends, colleagues, faith leaders in Missouri that a protest will be conducted on Saturday, April 14th, directly across the street from the National Rifle Association annual convention that will be taking place in St. Louis. And I'd be more than happy to talk to anyone after this forum who wants to know about more and how they can get involved and get others involved. We must show the profiteers and the extremists that we love our children more than they love their guns. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it's going to be easy. Winning the civil rights movement and all those victories was not easy. It's going to take commitment, hard work, and most of all, persistence. We must be tenacious. Are you ready?
Yes. Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes.
As a father, as an American, so am I. Thank you.